Today's class is going to be Tibetan heart sequence. I've got many Tibetan heart sequences, and when I get to sit down, I'll just read you some of the thoughts. They're called flavors of emptiness, the thoughts. But for now, just lift and roll the shoulders. So just roll the shoulders forward. There is a reason for this. You can roll one at a time or both. When you roll your shoulders forward, you're obviously exercising rolling them one way, but then you roll them back and that sets the shoulders properly over the perfect alignment. So then just roll the shoulders back.
So rolling them forward sort of sets them up for sitting
So
the alignment better.
when you roll your shoulders, you should always finish with rolling the shoulders back. Because that, if you roll them forwards, you could just droop forwards, but if you sit and roll them back, it sets them over the body properly. So whatever you do, you should finish with a shoulder roll back. In one tradition of yoga, you start rolling forward first and set it back, but other traditions don't bother about that so much. But setting it back, that's the reasoning behind it. And then clasp your hands, lift up, stretch up. If you are able to look up, fine. If you're not able to look up, look forward. And then just breathing out, lower the hands. And again, just coming up, reverse. This is very much within Tibetan yoga, but you're also crossing into Qigong, which is a Chinese breathwork system. The same movement applies in Qigong. Because you tend to breathe to correlate with your movement, you are starting to slow down your nervous system. And then just lift and roll the shoulders. And then just shake your hands out. And just move your ankles and shake that out. The other way, and then lift the other foot and just one way and then the other way, and then just open your arms and hug one way. Remember which arm's on top. You just go from side to side, opening your upper back. Self-compassion, and then lifting up and open. You remember the other arm, good. Going forward, just going from side to side. And then just release. Lift and roll your shoulders and clasp your hands behind. So if you wanted to be very yogic, you would keep your hands together, but that's quite hard. It limits your shoulder opening, so you can have what I call an open weave with the hands. And just lift your hands up away from you and feel that shoulder opening. It naturally lifts you at the chest, which is like a back bend, and it's uplifting for the moon. Just turn slightly to one side, come to the center, and slightly to the other side. And then just release. Lift and roll the shoulders again. And then breathing in, hands up, clasp, release. Just to one side. Press the feet down to come upwards and then to the other side. And come upwards, just turn to one side. Come to the center and turn to the other side. Come to the center. And then just circle the wrists down. And then circle the wrists the other way. Hands on the waist. tummy control. You can have your feet a little bit further apart. Just soften your knees. Look down. You can soften the knees a tiny bit or a lot. You'll feel your abdominal muscles engage. And then breathing in, come to standing. And then just come to lift your heels, bounce. And lower. Hands still on the waist, feet a little bit apart. And just swirl. So you're balancing your pelvis, swirling one way. And then swirl the other way. And just release, lift and roll the shoulders. And hands together. And come into a seated position. Come to have your legs out in front of you. And I just wanted to read you, I mentioned 6 planes of emptiness. So I just wanted to read you the thoughts associated, generally with this practice. So the first thought is, and I've done this before, times change, so life path doesn't stay static. Things kind of, life changes. You can't change the present in the present. The third one is when things happen, in the Tibetan view, it's karma, not randomness. So when something happens and you think, well, if I was 2 seconds earlier or 2 seconds later, that wouldn't have happened, it's saying, no, it was meant to happen. So all these are open to question. The fourth thing is that things don't have the qualities we project onto them. And my teacher at the time says that if you and I have a pencil, we view it as something to write with. A dog, theoretically, might view it as something to chew. So her perception is very different from ours. Everything is relationship, 50-50. So how you view people and how your perspective is on people is all about your relationship with them. I often think when you say something, if someone is kindly disposed towards you, they won't misinterpret it. They'll take it, well, that was a bit of a silly thing to say, but actually, the intention was kind, the intention was there, the relationship is good. But if somebody then hasn't got a relationship and they say something, somebody else can take mass offence. So that's what that's saying. And then things that empty are being the way we name and label them. So in other words, kind of be careful of saying, that person is in that category, or that thing is that's terrible, that organisation is terrible, or that organisation is wonderful, because it's again, we're projecting our thoughts onto them. So from there, which I think they're all open to discussion, and you might not agree with them, but just food for thought anyway. Just toes up and toes away, just for circulation. Yeah, if you're too hot, I mean, you can't believe that I could be telling you, asking you, is it too hot?
That's nice.
Yeah,
It's
isn't it?
fun today.
Years ago, Phil and I were in New York in February, and it was so hot. We walked out and spent the day in a short-sleeved t-shirt.
Gosh, did it? Really bitter in February, March.
We were expecting it to be better. We had jumpers and thick coats circling the ankles.
Whistles down those, what are they called? Roads. What are they called? We don't call them roads.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, like they're in a grid system, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
going, it's just, I've never been so cold as in Central Park. Absolutely frozen.
Yes.
It sounds like a golf course.
It's
isn't it?
lovely.
I just, when you stood still, it was boiling.
In
I
the
thought,
sun,
how can
wasn't
it be?
it?
Because it's only about 4
Getting
degrees.
a tan, looking up at the sun,
it's
talking the dog,
amazing.
thinking, oh, this is so nice.
How lovely.
You've just got to grab the opportunities, haven't you, when it's like this?
Because it doesn't last.
Absolutely.
No, this is about the last day, I think.
Was it?
For a while.
Oh dear. Okay, right, okay. And then, sorry,
I can't sit like that. I have to lean against them.
Okay, so then come to hands and knees. Would you like me to move forward?
Yeah, I struggle with your back,
I
yeah.
can't sit
Yeah.
very long with my back.
No, neither can I. Well, if I rest my hands, it's not so bad like this, but
Yeah, it's hurt. It doesn't hurt.
it's
you.
very hard to sit
I'm
on.
all right once I've completely stretched out, but before that it's really hard.
So have your bolster handy. I put it out for a reason. Just hands and knees. Breathing in, dipping your back. Breathing out, rounding. Just do this a couple of times. And then come to widen your knees, have your bolster handy, and bring your bottom towards your heels. Your bottom can be up slightly still, or it can be down. Just be comfortable, and have your head resting on your bolster, your arms slightly in front of you. So this is just touching on your firmness both in yin yoga and restorative yoga, stretching out the lower back, beginning to calm the nervous system down, encouraging the breath towards the back of the body. As I said, if your knees are troubling you, then lift your bottom up slightly so that you're not having to lean back quite so much. So find a comfortable spot. If ever you have a major headache, this is quite helpful because you're just releasing out the back of the neck. The spine is being given space and the blood can go back up into the head. It can be helpful. And the head resting on the block, if your head is resting on the block. If your head doesn't go to the block, then you can use your hands as fists to not come down quite so much. So this is stopping the fight or flight response, blood rushing away from the head to fuel running away, perhaps. So it's keeping the blood there in the head, which is helpful for headaches.
I always thought headaches were probably too much blood pressure in the head.
Well, there are different types of headaches, but effectively a headache can be often connected with digestion and dehydration. If it's that kind of headache,
And dehydration. Yeah, but then that. I don't understand why. Never understood why you get headache.
if you put your head right down, then yes, your blood pressure. But here we're almost keeping the spine not quite parallel to the
Oh
ground.
yes, it's sort of, yeah, you're right. It's not
But
down.
there comes that point where your head dips below, and then yes, the blood would go to the head. So coming forward in a forward bend might not be great. But here because you're keeping the spine sort of parallel to the ground.
Oh yeah, I suppose it just lets it flow sort of, sort of horizontally almost, doesn't it?
Which is why you've got to find your own level that suits you. So you are right. It's finding that midway. And then just very gently come up. Still on your hands and knees. Maybe just sway your bottom from side to side. And then we're going to come up to standing, but I do get that not everyone wants to do a downward dog.
So if you do want to join me in downward dog, please do. Otherwise, make your way up to standing, rolling up in your own time. So for downward dog, keep your knees bent, lengthen your back, then lengthen your legs. Bring your feet slightly closer to your hands and maybe slightly wider. And walk the dog, bending one knee and then the other. And then walking your feet to your hands to your feet. Softening your knees and rolling up vertebra by vertebra to standing.
Taking the time to reorientate. And then it's very familiar side to side. I can suddenly hear the birds, they're all coming up to Valentine's Day.
It's the sunshine, isn't it? Brings them out.
Yes.
I think summer's here.
We've noticed some great tips investigating the nesting boxes, so might have babies, which would be very cute. And they finally fledge. Just come to stillness. Lift and roll the shoulders again. So this opens the gateways of energy up to the head, as if you're just resetting the shoulders. It just stops any compression, any punching up. And then half salutes to the sun, hands together at the heart centre. Soften the knees. Circle the arms up, stretch up. You can look up optionally, but then bring your hands together, head upright, and draw the energy through the centre, softening your knees, sliding your hands down to your shins, halfway. Breathing out, softening. Breathing in, halfway. And stay here as you breathe out. Breathing in, soften your knees and rolling up to standing. Hands up, stretch your fingers, and just circle wrists down. Lift and roll the shoulders. And again, hands together. Soften the knees. Circles, stretching up. Palms together, come through the centre. Sliding your hands onto your shins. Half lift. Breathing out. Curling. Half lift. Stay here, breathe out. And breathing in, soften and rolling up. Hands up, stretch your fingers and just circle. And once more, hands together. Stretch and just circle down. Lift and roll shoulders. Breathing in, hands up. Breathing out, lower the hands as you turn to the right. Breathing in, raise the arms. You can bend at the elbows. That's softer for you. And breathing out, turn. Breathing in and lower the hands. Lift, roll shoulders. So this next one is for the liver. So I can only do it as you're bringing hands up, back, cross, up, back, cross with the other arm, up, down, one arm crosses, up, down, other. And then think about coming to a close. And just swing your arms, and then once more lift and roll your shoulders.
How does that get there?
I don't know, it's throwing out, sort of like getting rid of anger and emotion, you're just getting rid of excess energy. Also for the liver, as you've asked, is this, a much wider circle, because you're stretching as you go up.
Because I had some blood tests this to do, something was raised in the liver, can you say something?
So if you do this, you're shaking out energy, and liver is a storehouse for anger and emotion, so it's kind of almost like letting go. You can't hold onto emotion when you're just flicking it and shaking it all out, is the view. But it's quite cathartic just to sort of, clears your mind as well.
Yeah.
And then this is, again, it's a stretching here. And just bring your hands together, bring your feet together. And having asked you to bring your feet together, I'm going to ask you to step back again. Turn your left foot in, right foot out. Stiffness in the shoulders, don't feel that you've got to open your arms totally, you can just keep them bent. And bring the left palm to the right. Draw an imaginary bow with your left elbow high, and then just open out. Left palm to right. Draw your bow, then raise your right arm, look up, and then just open out. And once more, left palm to right. Draw your bow, open across the shoulder, breathing in, right arm, goes up, look at the thumb, base of the thumb, and open. Lower the arms, lift to roll the shoulders, so just about the limit of that. Turn your right foot in, and then left foot returns in, right foot out, and reverse the other way. Keep your elbows bent if it's too much, just stretch out. Right palm to left. Draw your bow with your right elbow high, lift your left thumb looking up, and open your arms to however that works for you. Right palm to left, draw your bow, energy, left palm goes up, opening out, and just one more. Draw your bow, left palm up, open out. Lower your arms, lift to roll your shoulders, and bring your feet back. And then just really soften your knees, maybe bring your feet in a little bit more, heel turning in, and just come down to hold your ankles.
Forward bend. So this would increase your blood pressure, Julia, because you're coming right down, your head's right down, it's not parallel any longer. Which is one reason I'm not going to hold you here.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Place your hands on the ground, heel toe your feet in, soften your knees and roll up to standing.
And hands up, thumbs together, and just sway from side to side. Lift and roll your shoulders, hands together, and then come back onto the mat. Kneel up before you
faster than that. And just hands on the waist, back of the waist. How are you on kneeling?
I can kneel actually. There's more that candle coming towards me.
Oh, right. Then just arms back. Your lengthen your spine. And slack a back bend. If you particularly wanted to go further, you can bring your hands down, but that's a much more intense thing. So you can keep to just here. It's lifting and opening the front, so it's a modified camel. And then breathing out. Come forward.
Would it be alright just to have it not so it's coming right at me? Thank you.
That's that.
Thank you, yeah.
And then come to Baddha, which is soles of the feet together. Any requests to soothe on any part of the body? Any requests? I keep walking in obviously the wrong shoes, and I get a blood blister, so it's obviously I'm rubbing. And I don't know why I'm doing it. Maybe my gait is out, but I'm not going to be wearing
It might be the shoes are too narrow. I had that after the wedding.
Yeah.
The shoes.
Oh,
It
okay.
took ages for them to go and
Oh.
blister. They were blood
Yeah, it
blisters.
can. But also your feet change all the time, especially as we get older, and muscles and tendons and everything don't hold you up quite like they used to. It can make a difference. So you can
Always
even wear
remember
the
my
same
mum saying,
shoe.
I always remember my mother saying after she had her children, her feet just spread. And I
Yeah,
think
but
mine
they can
did as
also
well.
change like after menopause quite a lot
Yeah.
as well. So you can wear the
What
same
doesn't?
shoes and still have problems because your feet have spread and
So you haven't changed your shoes?
Yes, I
Just-
just bought
well-
some new ones, I bought some Skechers, and they're just slightly different, and they don't
Mm.
quite suit me.
Well, that
It's a
makes-
different
that's what's
shape.
giving you the blood
Yes.
blisters.
Yeah, could
Yes.
be, yeah.
They're not particularly good for feet.
What, Skechers? Are they not?
No, they
No.
don't give you much support.
No, Becky's had a lot of problems with her feet, and the podiatrist said don't go.
No, they're not.
Although I've got a
They're
pair.
lovely to wear because they're really light and everything, but they're not
Yeah,
good
they're
for
not
walking in or anything like
I
that.
have a dropped arch on this foot
Yeah.
where I broke my
Yeah.
fibula and had a lot of tissue damage, and it's dropped my arch.
Yes, and then it doesn't support them properly.
No.
Yes,
When
yes.
you
right.
hear when we were talking about that, because I've got that as well,
A dropped arch.
yes,
Yeah.
and the thing is almost sitting with your foot and just bringing your foot in like that, and the muscle is a tibialis anterior, which goes from the tibia and it goes down, and that muscle can apparently kill you, but that's the thing that they suggest. And as I say, sitting up on your chair and going like that is supposed to be
Oh really?
quite
I'll give
helpful
that a go
to,
then.
it's quite satisfying to do that.
Yeah. It's always a funny feeling in this one. A fuzzy, sort of funny. I can't
Well, that's
describe
probably
it.
that will be connected to the problem you have with your leg because you don't walk on your foot.
No.
50,
And it's caused me now to have,
Yeah.
I went to the doctor, I've got that neuroma on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because
So
none of
my
us.
two toes look like I'm doing a V sign when I stand.
Yeah.
I haven't got
Because
it.
that's because they've spread to support.
It's because the neuroma's in the way. underneath.
Yeah.
They said I could have an operation, but it's
Yeah,
not bad.
I wouldn't.
No, it's not bad. But I think
So,
this
yeah.
leg generally took the brunt of quite a lot, and things are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
developing.
Because nobody's 50-50 in their way
No.
that they balance and everything, and that can change slightly, as I say, and particularly your feet as you get older. So it's important just to wear the right shoes.
It sounds like the Skechers are doing it, doesn't it?
Could be.
Do you walk in Skechers?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Try
really.
Bionics.
Bionic.
That the Bionic. They're on the Bionics website. They're
Yeah.
not cheap, but they're for us. They're good.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
But the latest Skechers are the one with the archwell stuff in them. They're a bit better because they've got like a bit that supports your arch of your foot.
Okay.
I think they're called, archwell. Oh no, that's Harry and Meghan's website.
Archwell.
You know what I mean?
You can
It's
get-
arch.
Yeah, you can
They're
get
called
them
arch
online
something.
as well.
They're called arch something.
Okay.
Or you can actually get the liners to go inside.
That's right. That's what I've got.
Yes, that support. If you're going to wear the same shoes, that support your
Yeah.
support your feet from the inside. Have a
Okay.
look online and get them from
Yes.
You
Amazon.
can. Yeah, I've got a couple of pairs that are really good.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you want any bit on your foot?
Any
Have you covered
questions,
everything?
any questions, Sue, about any part of the body? Because it's in the reflexology is on the foot.
In general.
Did they do the thing with stress and stuff? Like, do you remember with the bit under your
with
knees?
the solar plexus.
Yeah, the solar plexus. So the solar plexus is under your foot here. So it's where you've got your two balls of your bones of your foot, two balls, two bones that make the balls of your feet. So in the space that comes down in the middle, right up under there, is your solar plexus reflex point. So your solar plexus is here underneath your diaphragm, your rib cage, like that. So when you get anxious, that's when you feel that sort of yuck sort of feeling. So just gently, and if you press it quite hard, sometimes if you're stressed, it actually you can feel it. Yeah, it hurts. But to just massage it gently. It's quite, I've got my nails are a bit long, so I do mine with just the thing on my fingers. I don't gouge my feet out.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so you can do it. So it's just right in that, but just gently and moving it round, and that does help stress. It's quite nice. It's quite nice to do before you go to put some cream on your feet and do it just before you get into bed. It's quite nice.
Very painful.
Is it? It's, yeah, that's
Right
probably
hand
because
side.
yeah, that's probably because it's yeah.
Yes. I do think menopause is a major something.
Such a shift, a huge.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah.
And women didn't necessarily over years gone by live much beyond that.
No, that's true. And a lot of people, women died before.
Yes.
And also, I just think it's something that women of a different generation never talked about. It's almost like, oh, that's sort of a bit private, and you know. So it's only really been our generation.
Then Davina McCall has got a bit over the top about it.
Well, this is the thing. There's something in the paper saying that the problem is that people have over-medicalised it now, and they get everyone to think that everyone needs HRT. Everyone's going to suffer this, and it's not. It's not the case.
Not everyone has the same. It's very individual.
Yeah, but they just.
Yeah, I never knew anything about HRT really.
My mum never went on it. She used to have hot flushes. She didn't really say much else.
Yeah.
The hot flushes haven't been my big thing. Mine's the aching.
Yeah.
Terrible aching. It aches and
Is
pains.
it only, I haven't tried it. You haven't tried it. have you?
I've been on and off it
No.
for a few years. I've
Mum,
been there, then
you
I come
keep
off it,
having
then I go
about
on
it.
And I've been on it for about 3 months at a time. They say, always try it for 3 months. But
Yeah.
it takes away some symptoms, but causes others.
Well, this is what I'm
So I'm not.
sort of wondering. It
No.
could cause others, you know, and all the blood clot issue. You think.
But then there's that Louise Newson, isn't there now, that says all this.
yeah, well, my friend went to see
I had
her.
an appointment with her as well.
Did you?
Louise
Yeah.
who?
Louise Newson Clinic.
Just where's that?
£500.
Just rub your legs.
And she put me all on these things, the Progestan and
Yeah.
patches and everything. No, not really. Didn't really.
Well, I'm just no
Made me
good.
feel very peculiar. in
I'm
my
just no
head.
good with
Did it?
hormones. I used to be awful on
Yeah,
the
me
pill
too.
when I was young. I used to hate it. Absolutely
Yeah.
hate it.
So I just came off,
Yeah.
and then I went on back on it
And the thing
again.
is, you've given it a go, haven't you?
Yeah,
I just got caught with it.
yeah. I think I'm 4 years post, so I don't know how why it's still causing me problems, but yeah.
I think the whole body just changes and it carries on.
Yeah, you
Change.
just turn into an old lady. Is that why it's called the change? Because you change into an old lady.
No, you don't.
But yet my cousin said, you know, she swears by it because she said she just felt awful and now she feels back to normal.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's to say it's not right.
yeah, you've got to gauge it for yourself, haven't you? And I just think, oh, you start reading the thing about blood clots and you think, oh, is it worth it? But then on the other hand, as my cousin says, you know, if you persist with the symptoms like you can't sleep and what other symptoms, you know, you're more likely to get a heart attack from that.
And it depends your quality of life. If you haven't got any at all,
Yeah.
because of it, you know, you've got to do something. Otherwise
Yeah.
you can't
It's a-
work.
It's
Some ladies
getting,
have to
it's
give
getting
up
the
work.
right balance,
Isn't
isn't
it?
it?
Yeah, it's hard to know what's caused by the menopause as well, isn't
It
it?
is, because you can say, oh, I've got that, but it isn't anything to do with it.
Exactly.
Just hug your knees into your chest and just rock from side to side.
Oh, this is a good one. I like
Oh,
Yes,
bliss.
after
It's always
sitting.
my
Oh no, tell me, can you cross your feet when you do this? Does it matter?
You can cross your feet,
Yeah.
that's fine. Just easing out the back, the back. And then just circle the knees so they are circling in almost different directions. You're bringing them together away from you and then separating back into a V and just circling them. So you're just beginning to look at the hips now. Hip movement. And circle the knees in the opposite direction, so you hug them in together and then widen them into a V and then maybe meeting up at the top. Just whatever works for you. And now this very familiar, hug both knees into the chest in your own breath pattern. Still hold the knees and let them drift away to arm's length. Just the lower back often represents stress. I think all medical books, all the jargon that they go through, come back. It's hidden somewhere that there is an aspect of stress in the lower back issues quite often because of other muscles that are out. It goes into the lower back. And the hips, but the hips and the back are connected, are where you see yourself going forward in life, particularly at a major crossroads in life, which I suppose the menopause flags up. There's a shift, a change, and it's like how you see yourself going forward.
What do you mean it's like how you see yourself going forward?
So it's often, people maybe retire, their children grow up, and it's, well, what's the next phase of my life? It's not quite defined yet, or people perhaps lose a partner, and it's, well, things change again, and it's out of their control, and where am I going forward now?
And how does that translate to the hips?
It makes them
Not able to go forward.
not able to go forward,
Yeah.
so people tend to come forward
Stagnate,
physically. So thank you. They stagnate, they kind of come forward, and in coming forward, they sort of C-curve their body, and then that puts themselves out on the hips, so they're not really
Yeah.
supported in life. And then the little muscles, many muscles around the hip area start to shorten, and that just puts that whole posture out. And that carries on, and then people can gain weight as well. It's just adding to hip issues. They're not moving as much, so therefore their hips aren't. This circling the hips is one of the knees is one of the best things you can do for your hip health. It's not putting any pressure on the hips, so it's very safe, and it just is putting the hip through its full rotation. And then just very gently supporting your legs underneath to bring your feet down to the ground. Palms can either be down on the ground or on your abdomen, resting on your tummy. Just sway your knees from side to side. Your hip will lift off to either side.
So let's hope if we do this, we won't need hip replacements, yeah?
Do you know, I think about that all the time. I just circling the hips just to keep things fluid and moving. You don't need to do it very much. Just to move the hips, so that what happens is that there is an aspect of stagnation where the hips aren't put through their full rotation. And then if you've got toxins, arthritis, your digestive system isn't working quite so well,
an overload of raw foods and stress, toxins build up and like not processed through the liver properly. And then in that non-processing part, you will get almost like calcification coming out as the blood runs through. You get little spurs, calcium spurs building up, and that they build up and slug up, and toxins build up on things like the shoulders. People have their shoulders scraped, and then around the hip area you can have a hip. I can't think what it's called, but you can have their hips scraped before a full.
Sounds horrible. I'd rather do this.
Rather do this. Yeah, and then they wonder why they don't get any better. It's lovely, and then they carry on. They don't alter anything. They don't recognise that they need to do anything, and then it just slugs up again. So, as I said, you don't need to do a lot. I always say think of a cat or a dog like that, and they stretch. First thing in the morning, they have a little stretch, and then they're good to go. They need that stretch out. And then just come to relaxing. I'm going to just read a very gentle relaxation along the Tibetan line. So you can either have your feet on the floor, knees bent, perhaps knees touching so your feet go out more to the edge of the mat. That's called constructive rest, which is very helpful if you've got a lower back problem. If you want to just come to full Shavasana, then just relax. And you've got the bolsters that you can put under your knee if you want a slight bend in your knee to soften for your hips and back as well. So just come to a very gentle couple of minutes relaxation with your sun. The Tibetan way of looking at the energy systems and correlating colours to the energy flow is different. And this is not so confusing, because everything is slightly different. So in this Tibetan relaxation, they ask you to think of a yellow golden light connecting and correlating with the Apana energy, and this dissolves down the lower part of the body, 4 widths. It starts 4 widths below the navel, so 4 finger widths. Your fingers below the navel, and it goes down through the legs. So just imagine golden light coming in below the navel, which is correlating with your dantian in the Chinese medicine world. Your heart, it's the centre of your being. It's a very important a point for martial arts, of which yoga is viewed as one very gentle one. That needs to be clear. So that's 4 widths below the navel. Imagine this golden light just to breathe in, cleansing and clearing. It goes down your legs and leaves through your toes, going back to the earth. Breathing in a golden light below the navel. Let it floating down, leaving through your toes. And then the next energy within the Tibetan heart system is called samana. And here in this system, it's a green light. It's a green energy, which is considerably different from normal systems. And this is at the navel, and the energy light goes from side to side. So it's very much connected to our digestive system, digestive enzymes. So you can imagine breathing in, perhaps through the navel, or just imagine breathing in a green light as it diffuses to either side of the navel, cleansing, detoxing, and then as you breathe out, just let the green float out, either back through the navel, or however you imagine it. This is the samana energy. Each energy is responsible for aspects of both our physical and mental being. And then the next colour to pull in is blue, the colour blue. And this connects to, in this system, prana, which is our life essence. You've got pranayama and yoga, which is breathing, breath by practice, but it's actually connecting into the life, vitality, our essence. And this comes in at the heart and dissolves, flows down and out through the arms. So you can imagine a blue energy coming in through the heart and breathing it out, freeing up any stiffness in the shoulders and the elbows, flowing down to the fingers if there's any arthritis, just imagining it cleansing and flowing out through the arms, down through the fingers, and the space beyond the fingers. So your blue pranic light coming in through the heart and floating down through the arms. And then the next energy is Udana energy. And here they imagine the colour red, which is totally different from normal. And this kind of starts at the heart, at the throat, and it goes up through the throat and the neck to the head. So it's clearing you all upwards. The energy flows upwards. So imagine breathing in through the throat, and the energy floats up through the head, the neck, the head, and then just floating out, cleansing and clearing the head. And in yoga, very simplistically, they classify diseases of the head, where the energy is blocked, the energy flow is blocked in the head. So that would include all the dementias, all 8 dementias, and it would include Parkinson's. So people can get blocked in the head, the neck can kind of get blocked and stuck with stress and tension. So imagine breathing in the red light, going all the way through the head, just clearing as it goes behind the eyes, by hearing. All this is affected by energy. And then finally, you come to the top of the head, the crown of the head, and you think of the colour white, which comprises all colours, and it's the Vyana energy. So it's all pervading, it's all pervasive, it's connected to the element of water, fluidity, impacts the joints and assists all the other, they call them winds, all the other energies. So imagine the white light is everywhere, but bring a focus to the white light at the crown of the head. So you can imagine the white light coming in at the crown of the head and just going everywhere in the body where you need the energy, and leaving wherever you feel you'd like to leave. And the stiffness of the joints, imagine the energy swirling round. You can always add a gold or a silver tinge to it if you want to. Just clearing the joints, any scar tissue around the joints, just imagine clearing. And so the 5 energies represent, as I said, not just physical well-being, but mental well-being as well, because there are various elements and levels of mind which get refined to beyond the mind, which is quite difficult to get hold of. And then just have a thought for the day, setting your energy for the day ahead. It can be a wish for you, or it can be a wish for somebody close to you. Just let that thought settle and then relax, let it go, the intention's been set. And just do a mental scan of your body. Any lingering discomfort or thoughts, just direct an energy, a colour. It doesn't have to be one of the colours I've mentioned, it can be any colour. To dissolve any tenseness or being uncomfortable and let it go, just let it float. And this thought process of breathing in, choosing a colour and just letting that colour energy as you breathe out go to anywhere it's uncomfortable, where your energy goes, your thought goes, your thoughts go, your energy goes. So it's directing it, relaxing something, if you're holding tenseness.